So hi all. Thank you for joining Richelle and I today. So my name, for those who don't know me, is Laura Bloomberg, and I am a fertility coach and holistic therapist. I'm also an EFT practitioner, gut health practitioner, and cell health specialist. I provide emotional, physical, and well-being support to women who are on a difficult fertility journey. And I help them also achieve optimum fertile health. So today I'm really pleased to be here with Richelle Isaacs, a highly experienced, now I need to say this carefully, naturopathic nutritional therapist,
Perfect.
fertility nurse, and NHS health coach. Richelle specializes in fertility, pregnancy, and hormonal health, helping individuals and couples addressing root causes with evidence-based nutrition and lifestyle strategies. So together on the call this evening, we're going to be sharing essential information on how to prepare your body for conception, focusing mainly on nutrition, supplements, blood sugar balance levels, gut health, and the role of the mitochondrial support. But before Richelle starts off the main talk, I would just like to talk a little bit about the importance of planning for a baby. Now, I'm sure you all agree, we all plan for so many big life events, things like weddings, holidays, career changes, even buying a new car for argument's sake. But when it comes to having a baby, many people, not all, but many, won't necessarily think and prepare themselves and their bodies in advance. Okay? However, just like any other major life event, fertility requires a great deal of preparation. And experts say that really we should be starting at least 4 to 6 months before actually trying to conceive. Now, why is this? Well, lots of factors, but to isolate them down to a few, egg and sperm take about 3 to 4 months to mature, meaning the health choices that you make totally directly impact fertility. A well-prepared body will lead to a healthier pregnancy, reducing the risk of complications like miscarriage, gestational diabetes, and preterm birth. And good nutrition and lifestyle habits also improve egg and sperm quality, increasing the chances of conception. So, by taking the time to prepare your body, your mind, your physical, your emotional well-being, you are automatically setting yourself up better for an increased chances of conceiving, a healthier pregnancy, and a thriving baby. So, my question to you is what are you doing to help yourself be in optimum fertile health? I'm not going to ask you to answer it now, but just have that question in your minds if you are giving yourself the best possible chance on all those different levels. So, without further ado, I'd really like to welcome Richelle to kickstart the discussion. So, welcome, Richelle.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. So I think it's really great what Laura said because it's key. And I think a lot of the time, working, especially in the fertility clinic and with patients, a lot of people come in and they haven't thought about what they can do for themselves. And I think this is really key. A lot of the time, when we take power and ownership over ourselves, it not only are we able to increase those statistics, but actually just the ability to take control and power over ourselves is very empowering. And that has a big positive impact. So it's about looking at what we can do. There's so much that we can do with diet and lifestyle. And definitely starting as soon as possible, like we mentioned, is the key. And there's certain things that we can look at. So Laura touched on blood sugar balance, and this is really key. And I think sometimes when we think about blood sugar balance, people think this just means about how much sugar we're taking into our body, how many sweets and this sort of thing. But actually, every time that we eat any carbohydrate, bread, pasta, fruit, it all gets broken down into sugar. And our body, when we absorb this sugar into the body, our body has to work out what to do with this sugar. The body is very clever, and what will happen is the insulin will try and draw that sugar out of the bloodstream as like a safety mechanism. But what that can mean is it can mean you get then this massive dip of blood sugar. So you end up in this roller coaster where your body's trying to save itself constantly from dipping too low and going too high. And these roller coasters of blood sugar, they can have a really knock-on effect on numerous aspects of health, but also specifically fertility. They impact on hormonal balance, on egg quality, on uterine health. So it's really important that we really try and manage this blood sugar. And there's certain things that you can do. So one key thing that is really helpful, there's something called the Eat Well plate. It's recommended by the NHS. If you Google Eat Well plate, it comes up, and it's about looking at your ratios of food. So if you imagine that you're having, let's say, a chicken risotto, a lot of us will have, a load of rice on the plate, a little bit of chicken and maybe some vegetables. But we really need to change up those ratios. We need to up the protein. So if we're looking at a plate and we're imagining a plate, we need to be getting about 30% of the plate as protein or healthy fat. So we really need to up the chicken. The vegetables should be 50% really of the plate. And that's really important because not only is it supporting the blood sugar balance, but it's providing fiber. And fiber is key for eliminating and detoxifying hormones, really finding that balance. And they provide loads of phytonutrients, nutrients that are absolutely key for fertility. And if we're looking again at that plate, we want really about 25% or less of the plate to be carbohydrate. And if we can add in more of that protein, more of that vegetable, it really can help with that blood sugar balance and getting in all those extra nutrients that I just mentioned. And nutrients are really key for fertility. A lot of the time, a lot of us might feel, I feel fine. I don't really notice that I've got any sort of low levels. But a lot of the time we can be deficient in nutrients without even realizing it. And there are ways of testing very, very simply. A lot of the time when people come through to me, there are certain tests that I will do, things like an organic acid test or a hair mineral test to really look at nutrient levels, because a lot of the time it can be really simple things like adding in some extra nutrients that can really have a big effect on fertility. So things like B vitamins. A lot of the time people will take folic acid and vitamin D for fertility, which are absolutely key. But the thing with folic acid is that it needs the other B vitamins. So folic acid is B9 and B vitamins work together. They work in sync. You can't have one B vitamin that's really high and the other's really low, because you will not be getting the balance, and they work in synchronicity. So it's really important to be getting your folic, but also to be getting all of the other B vitamins as well, whether that's from diet or whether that's you've tested and you actually need to get a little bit more in the diet. So it's really important to look and see, are there nutrient deficiencies that I need? And folic acid is not just important for women, it's just as important for men as well. And one of the other things that can be really important to look at, there's a genetic profile test. And it's really key because a lot of people have an inability to metabolize folic acid. And what that can mean is people taking folic acid, if they're not breaking it down and absorbing it properly, it can actually build up to really high levels, which can have a negative impact on fertility. So there are ways of looking and seeing, are you someone that can break down a folic acid, or do you need potentially another form of folic acid? Do you need folate? So there are different things that can be looked at way before you even start trying to make sure you're getting these balance of nutrients in the body. And the vitamin D is really important. It's really important because it helps our cells to function as they should, but it really also has a knock-on effect on our thyroid. And the thyroid is a gland in the body, has many functions, but it is highly related to fertility. And a lot of the time, people will not get their thyroid checked because they might think they've got no symptoms related to thyroid dysfunction. But you can often have issues with the thyroid without having any signs. So I do always recommend that before people are getting pregnant, they do get their thyroid tested. And when you go to the GP, often they will do a TSH blood test. But I think it's very, very important to actually get the full profile of thyroid tests. The evidence has shown if you just do the TSH, it doesn't give you the full picture as to what is actually happening with the thyroid. So it's really important to look at this as well. Another nutrient that's really helpful, and I know that Laura's going to touch on mitochondrial health, but coenzyme Q10, it's a fantastic nutrient. Now, the studies have shown that this is specifically more important for women who are over 35, because as we get older, our levels of CoQ10 diminish. And CoQ10, the way I like to think of it, it's like the ignition in a car. So you can be putting in all of the fuel into the car, but if you don't have that thing that ignites it, nothing's going to happen. That car is not moving. So we need that CoQ10 in the body. And it's the thing that gets our energy going. It's the thing that keeps us really awake. And so as we get older, one of the reasons that we'll feel more fatigued will be the fact that we've got lower levels of CoQ10. So this is something to bear in mind. And I do recommend it to women who are over 35, but I also do recommend it to people who have been trying a little while as well. Another thing that can be really beneficial, so we've touched on blood sugar balance, upping that protein level, specific nutrients, but it's really important also to look at the gut. And I think this is something that's really not touched on all the time, but the gut and the way that the gut functions is really key for fertility. The gut is the center of so many things. It's the center of our immunity. It's the center of where our hormones are produced as well. They are produced in other areas of the brain, but they are also produced in the gut. It's where neurotransmitters are made, a lot of neurotransmitters. So it's really key that the gut is working at its most optimally. Now, if people come through to me and I know that they've had some form of digestive complaint, whether that's been constipation, whether that's been even just, they've been having slight abdominal bloating, I will do a stool test on them to have a look and see if there is an imbalance of the gut bacteria. But even if you've not been having any symptoms and you don't do testing, it's really key to get some fantastic prebiotic and probiotic foods in the diet. So the probiotic foods, you can get some really good fermented foods, things that are really going to help to increase that beneficial bacteria. Things like miso, things like tempeh, and the prebiotic foods, they're the foods that are going to help feed that beneficial bacteria. Things like broccoli stalk, dandelion, so you can get them in food. Garlic, onion, you can get them in food. You can also get things to supplement if you don't like some of those prebiotic foods. But it's really key for the gut to be working at its most optimally. And a lot of the time I've noticed that getting the gut moving and getting it, because a lot of the time people might feel that constipation is normal for them, but constipation is not a normal thing. And sometimes just getting the gut moving and getting things going can have a really big knock-on effect and quite a quick impact on someone getting pregnant. Another thing that's really helpful is, because we've talked about supporting egg quality, making sure that we're getting these nutrients in the body also to help the sperm quality. But it's also important that we focus on the uterine health, because this is the thing with getting pregnant. There's a few factors we need to look at. And we need to make sure that the uterus is also getting the nutrients that it needs. And one of the main things for the uterus is ensuring it's getting enough blood flow. So blood flow is key to the uterus. Getting that blood flow going to the uterus, we know that then it's getting the nutrients that it needs. So exercise, this is really key. We don't want to be pushing exercise too much. I think sometimes it can be, we can be worried, oh, we need to get more exercise in the body. We don't want to be going over and overly exerting ourselves, because this can have a knock-on effect as well. This can increase the amount of oxidative stress. But we do want to be making sure we are getting in a couple of moderate exercise sessions a week. And that can be, it doesn't have to be something that is too intense on the body, even, very fast, power walking, something that really gets the heart rate up. It's really going to help the circulation and get that blood flow going to the uterine lining. But there are also foods that we can put in as well that can really help. Things like ginger, fantastic circulatory herb, really helps stimulate blood flow. Beetroot, it's fantastic for blood flow. You can either have it as a juice, put it into a smoothie, or just beetroot. And really trying to add in antioxidants. So we talked earlier about really trying to get those vegetables in the diet, but it's super important to be getting a variety of colors. The thing with vegetables is they work in unity. That's the beautiful thing about nature, that it works in sync. So we need to be getting all those different colors of vegetables because they all have a different impact. You have the white vegetables that really help immunity. You have the red vegetables which really help with blood flow specifically. So it's really important to get them together and working together. And the final thing I wanted to touch on is, yes, it's about what we're eating and those nutrients coming into the body, but we do have to be a little bit mindful also about the things that we don't want to be coming in. And there is evidence about the impact of things called xenoestrogens and their impact on fertility. And basically what these are, they're molecules that they fake being like estrogen. And they are found in things like fertilizers, plastic packaging, and they can have a knock-on effect with fertility. Now, I think it's important that we don't want to stress. We don't want to sit there going, oh God, there's plastic in this and fertilizer in this. And because we've got to be mindful that we don't want to be too stressed as well. Stress has a massive effect with fertility. So we just want to be careful that we're being mindful about it, but putting little things in place. So a few things that I find can be really beneficial. There's something called the Dirty Dozen. And these are 12 specific foods that are known to be slightly higher in pesticides than other foods. Things like strawberries, things like spinach. And so it could be an idea to maybe aim for organic on these foods. Rather than, stressing and going, oh God, I need to spend organic on everything. It could be a good idea just to focus on those specific things. And another idea, if you want to try and get rid of limit the xenoestrogens as much as possible, you can take those vegetables or fruits and you can soak them in apple cider vinegar for 20 minutes. And that's a really good way of removing the pesticides as much as possible. But I think with all of this, it's important to be really mindful, ask for help, ask for support, but try and not get over bogged down by it as well, because we need to be careful that we're not getting so, stressed with it as well. So I really hope that's been helpful. I think we will do a Q&A at the end, Absolutely. But for now, I'll hand over back to Laura.
Wow. Thank you, Richelle. That was absolutely amazing. Really interesting and valuable bits of information. And I know that our listeners are going to have certainly picked up quite a few important nuggets of information and key advice. I love the Dirty Dozen food idea, and understanding also about the role of apple cider vinegar, along with the gut health that you talked about, which I'm going to talk a little bit else about that as well. But that's amazing. So Richelle, I know we're going to talk at the end a little bit, but if people wanted to find you, how would they get you?
So my business is the Natural Health Advisory. And it's this, I keep it nice and simple. So it's the Natural Health Advisory on Instagram. Mm-hmm. It's the Natural Health Advisory on Facebook. And my website is www.thenaturalhealthadvisory. And I am available for people can get in touch, consultations. We can have a chat just to see how I can help and see how I can help you on the journey.
Amazing. Thank you, Richelle. So we will stop the recording later on and take questions so we can elaborate if anyone wants to on that. But that's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to take over just for a few minutes and talk about some other areas that I feel really also incredibly important when preparing and fueling our bodies for conception. And one of the areas that I'm very invested in and passionate about is when we look at what's called starting at the cell or cellular level. Now, here we have a model cell. Okay, and you can see the cell is incredibly detailed, lots of different structures according to that cell, but all our cells have the same structure. Okay, and all our cells, all 37 trillion approximately cells in our body, whether it's brain, heart, lung, reproductive area, they all have the same structure. And they all have in them something called the mitochondria. Now, the mitochondria is the energy producing powerhouse for our body and for that cell, but it's also the fertility powerhouse. Okay. And it plays a crucial role in fertility. They generate, as Richelle said before, energy, ATP energy, which is essential for both egg and sperm health. So the egg requires a lot of energy to mature, fertilize, support early pregnancy. The sperm relies on the mitochondrial energy to swim and fertilize the egg. Okay. Aging and oxidative stress damage mitochondria. So we need to be careful about that, leading to poorer egg quality and sperm health. And therefore, it's really important that we support the mitochondria through the right nutrition, getting our cells to be less inflamed. So it's really healthy. So the cell membrane layer, the outer layer of the cells, is as soft and permeable as possible, allowing nutrients and supplements to get in easily, to enable the mitochondria to do the job it needs to do efficiently, and to then allow the waste to be able to escape more easily out of the structure of the cell membrane. So, and one of the ways of supporting a healthier mitochondria and enabling it to do the energy level it's meant to be doing on those levels is to be trying to make sure that we are in balance with our omega-6 to omega-3 balance ratio. Unfortunately, through test-based nutrition, we've found out that a lot of people are highly inflamed and have a much higher omega-6 to omega-3 balance ratio. And although we need omega-6, we've got to be very careful with how much we are getting in relation to omega-3. And that's often to do now with our ultra-processed food diets and the chemicals in the industry, et cetera, et cetera. And the more inflamed we are, the harder the outer layer of the cells are. They behave like golf balls, which means supplements and nutrients can't get in easily and as effectively, and the mitochondria then can't work. So taking a really good quality omega-3 supplement. Omega-3 is an essential, one of our essential fatty acids, is really, really important, especially a good quality omega-3 that's got high levels of EPA and DHA, but also really important that it's got something called polyphenol, which I'm going to talk about to you in a minute. Now, DHA and EPA, which are some of the omega-3 components, are essential for hormonal balance, egg and sperm quality, and reducing inflammation, as we've just talked about. Okay. So when choosing an omega-3 supplement, it's really important to do your research. Try and check where the source of the omega-3 has come from, because what you don't want to is be having a source of omega-3 that come from perhaps larger oceans, from bottom of the sea, the larger fish, which tend to contain more toxics and mercury and toxins, which actually could be adding more damage to your body than you want to believe the omega-3 is doing. And also we want to make sure that it contains something called a polyphenol, to stop the omegas from oxidizing before it actually reaches and it gets absorbed by the cells. So that's something, if you are taking an omega-3, just to check and do a little bit of background research as to, if you can, find out where the products are sourced from and if they contain polyphenols. And I'm more than happy to talk about this at a later stage if anyone would like me to talk about a particular one that I recommend. It's not the time and place on here to do that, but there are specific brands that I would highly recommend that we know work and are effective through testing. Okay. There are also natural food supplements that you can, not supplements, food intake that you can do to support the omega-3. So you can have fatty fish, sort of your anchovies, your mackerel, your sardines, chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, those sorts of foods. But we generally can't get enough omega-3 into our bodies through just food. We do need to supplement it, which is why generally you will read and hear about taking a good quality omega-3 supplement. Okay. So just quickly, what are polyphenols? They are antioxidants, okay, that protect fertility. They are plant-based antioxidants that help protect the egg and sperm from damage caused by oxidative stress and aging. And there are huge benefits. They improve blood flow to the ovaries and testicles. They protect the reproductive cells. They support hormonal balance. So it has its own independent properties as well as helping the omega to stop from oxidizing. All right. And we can have polyphenol rich foods, the extra virgin olive oil, blueberries, pomegranates are high in polyphenols, green tea, matcha. So there are ways of incorporating polyphenols into your day-to-day routine, but also making sure that the omega-3 supplement has it in, if possible, and making sure it doesn't oxidize. Okay. Now, I know Richelle touched upon gut health, and again, as I will completely agree with her that gut health is absolutely crucial for all our general health and well-being, but really important for fertility because it, excuse me, influences hormone balance, nutrient absorption, and inflammation levels. Gut affects fertility by balancing estrogen levels, improves egg and sperm quality, and as Richelle mentioned, blood sugar regulation. Also reduces inflammation as well, which can impact ovulation and implantation. So having those foods, the kefir, the sauerkraut, things like that are really important to have as probiotics. But a probiotic is only as good as the prebiotic fibers that feed it to help it grow. It's a bit like sprinkling grass seed on to grow. Well, it's not going to grow if it doesn't have the right amount of water and sunlight. We need to feed the probiotics with a really good prebiotic. Okay, so good sources of prebiotic are things like onion, garlic, leeks, asparagus, bananas, oats, flax seeds. But generally, it's very hard to get enough of those natural fibers in our body to behave in the amount we need on a day-to-day basis to be the prebiotic and make it as effective as we need. So it's really important to take also a prebiotic, for want of better words, supplements, because that's really important. So again, I can later on advise if anyone wants to know about a really good prebiotic supplement that contains natural dietary fibers. Now, finally, just wanted to say that yes, nutrition is an absolutely important part of the fertility equation, want for better words. It's not just nutrition, it's a real jigsaw, and nutrition is a big part of that jigsaw, but your daily habits play a big role in fertility. Reducing stress, finding activities that help you not allow the sort of the hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline to take place and take over. Sleep, prioritizing your sleep and getting enough sleep is really important. As Richelle touched upon, exercise in moderation and avoiding those toxins. Again, just repeating there. So that's, all those things together are really important parts of the fertility jigsaw. Um, Fertility is not just about timing, it's about giving your body, your mind, everything that really important preparation periods. By nourishing your mitochondria with omega-3s, your polyphenols, your prebiotics, your probiotics, the nutrients that Richelle touched upon there can all boost egg and sperm quality, help balance the hormones, and increase your chances of conception. And then obviously bringing into play what I mostly do is support clients on an emotional level and helping them to reduce the stress by incorporating strategies such as my mindset coaching, EFT, otherwise known as energy tapping, and hypnotherapy. It all helps with the bigger picture and improves chances of getting pregnant and maintaining a healthy pregnancy as well, because that's obviously equally as important. So before I turn the recording off, I just want to say thank you for listening. We'll take questions in a moment. But if anyone wants to find myself, I'm the founder of Fertility Avenue. So on www.fertilityavenue.co.uk. I'm also on Facebook as Fertility Avenue and on Instagram as fertility.avenue. I have a website that you can look at to get more information to find out how I can support clients on a difficult fertility journey. So I'm going to stop the recording in a moment, but before I do, Richelle, is there anything you want to add or enhance to what I've said or anything else before we open up for discussion?
I think I was just going to say that I think it's like you mentioned at the end the impact that mindset has, and it really is key. When I work as well, I volunteer as a health coach with the NHS, and actually, sometimes mindset is even more important than the things you're putting into
Mm,
your body, and
mm,
it's quite incredible. Sometimes, I have a lot of people who
shift.
come through who I've been trying for years, I'm not going to get pregnant, and then suddenly I say, no, there's a we can do this, and things can shift.
Shift. Yeah.
So it's a really about looking, like you said, Laura, at all the different aspects together.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if people come with limiting beliefs or blocks, or how many times have we heard stories where people have been trying and trying and trying for years, stop trying, go on holiday, and bang, fall pregnant, or something like that. There's no coincidences. It's the mind and the body work together, and if the mind is not in a healthy place, the body's not going to be in a healthy place. So it's bringing all the elements together and making sure we're giving ourselves the best possible chance.